Now, from this lecture onwards, we're going to start with the CSS part of the project. So for that, we need to use the style.css file. So here, first, I'm going to select the universal selector to actually reset the default styling of the browser. So here, what I'm going to do, margin is going to 0, then padding is going to 0, and also I'm going to here set the box sizing to actually border box. And finally, I'm going to set the font family to actually sans serif. So you can see now the default styling of the browser is actually changed. Then I'm going to select the body selector. Here I'm going to quickly change the background color to actually like hash symbol B0, B0, B0. Control save it. Then you can see we get the gray color. After that, I'm going to set the minimum height to 100 VH. Then I'm going to set the color to actually white, or I can say that a little lighter version of the black, not a white color. Then I'm going to specify the line height, which is going to be like 1.5. And then after I'm going to set the display to actually grid. And then I'm going to use the place items to actually center. Not cal is actually like our center. So here I need to actually type the whole property like CENTR center. Control save it. Then you can see now the content is actually shifted to the center of the browser screen. After that, I'm going to specify the code for the container element, which is the class selector. So here I'm going to select the background. It is actually a class selector, not a element. So here I'm going to first set the background. So background, or I can here use the background color hash symbol 3 times F. So you can see now we get the background color inside the container. Now I'm going to set the padding. So not padding, it's like padding. So padding from all sides is going to like 20 pixel. And then I'm going to set the text align property to center. So everything will be aligned to center. Then I'm going to add the border radius, which is going to like 10 pixel. And after that, I'm going to set the box shadow property 0, then 10 pixel. Then here I will be using the RGBA 0. Actually, I need to set the green to 0. Then blue to 0, and then alpha is going to like 0.1. Control save it. Then you can see finally we get the rounded corners and also the box shadow. And after that, I'm going to set the animation to actually container animation. So it's like container animation, which is going to like 1s is like ease in out. All right. And now it's time to set the keyframes. So at the rate keyframes identifier, which is like container, not container, it's like container. So I'm going to copy this, and here I'm going to paste the keyframes container, then the from. Okay, and then here I'm going to set the 2, which is going to like opacity. So from opacity is going to like 0, and then I'm going to here use the transform, which is going to like translate y, and here I'm going to specify the value, which is like minus 20 pixel. Then I'm going to copy these two properties and pasting it inside the 2 one also. So here I'm going to change the, actually here I'm going to change the opacity to 1, and then I'm going to here change the translate to 0. Control save it. Then you can see we get the nice container animation. All right. And after that, we need to add the code for the h1 element to actually make it a little bit good. So I'm going to increase the font size to 36 pixel. And then I'm going to set the margin bottom to 12 pixel. All right. And after that, I'm going to add the code for the span element. That is this particular element that actually denotes this 0 value. All right. So value, so it is an ID selector. So that is why I need to use the hash symbol in front of the value word. So here I'm going to use the font size, which is going to be like 72 pixel. Then I'm going to change the font weight, which is going to be bold. And then I'm going to change the color. So color is going to like 007 BFF. After that, we need to set the transition so that there should be a smooth transition when the color is changing. 0.3s, it is like ease in out. Control save it. Then you can see now it looks much better. All right. The color is also applied. After that, I'm going to add the code for the negative value. So once the value is actually negative, so this will be used by the JavaScript on the runtime. So value dot negative. So here I will be changing the color to actually red. So here I'm going to set the color to red by just specifying the name of the color directly. Now it's time to actually style these buttons because right now they are not look great. Okay, so I'm going to here select the button class. So first I need to set the text transform to actually uppercase. I need to set the background. So background is going to like has symbol double times 0 7 BF. So you can see now the background is actually 007 B. Actually I need to specify here 1F also. So you can see now the color is actually applied. After that I'm going to set the color which is like this particular one. Then I'm going to set the padding, that is this particular one. Padding from like top and bottom is going to be like 10 pixel. From left and right it is going to be 20 pixel. After that I'm going to set the font size which is going to be like 18 pixel, and then I'm going to set the border to actually none. And after that I'm going to set the border radius to 5 pixel. So you can see now the changes actually apply to the buttons. So after that I'm going to here set the margin to like 8 pixels for the button, and then I need to set the cursor to actually pointer 1. Also we need to apply a small transition. So here I will be using the transition property. So I want to apply the transition to the background. So background of 0.3s is in out. Control save it, then you can see there is a nice transition. And after that I'm going to also add the button hover. So like here hyphen hover, then I need to start its block of code. And then after that I'm going to set the color. So like hash symbol 0056B3. So control save it, and now I'm going to hover it. Then you can see we get the little darker version of the blue color. Okay, so that marks the completion of the CSS part for this particular project, which is the counter application. So from next lecture onwards, we're going to add the JavaScript so that when we click on these buttons, it's going to update the value of this particular span element. So all of this stuff we're going to do in the next lecture. So now it's time to start with the JavaScript part for this particular counter application. So for that, we need to use a script.js file. Inside of that, first I'm going to create here a variable of name count. Then this is going to be equal to 0. So I have actually created this particular variable with the use of the let keyword because the value of this particular span element, that is this particular counter, will be updated multiple times. So that is the reason this variable is going to hold that particular value, and the value will be updated multiple times. That is the reason I have created this particular variable with the use of the let keyword. Now the next thing is I need to here create some more variables to actually hold the HTML elements. So the first one is going to be the value, that is going to be equals to document.getElementById. So document.querySelector. So I'm going to select the selector. So here I need to specify the type of the selector. So it is like a ID selector. So I'm going to specify the hash symbol, then the name of the selector. So if I come back to index.html, that is this particular one that we're actually selecting. Similarly, I'm going to here actually create a one more variable. So const, then this is going to be equals to like btns, which is like buttons. So I'm going to here use the document.querySelector all. So I'm actually selecting all the elements as a collection because this particular one will gives us a node list. So that can be treated as a collection. So I need to specify the type of the selector. It is actually a class selector. So that is the reason I need to specify here a dot. Then I need to specify the name of the selector, which is the btn class. Now the reason for actually selecting all these button as a query selector all as a collection, so that I can actually use the for each method so that I can iterate over the buttons. So here I will be using the for each method. Then I'm going to here use the round brackets, and inside of that I'm going to specify the btn. Then the arrow operator means the arrow symbol, not operator. So here I will be using double equal to sign, arrow symbol, and then I'm just starting its block of the code. So it's going to be iterating over all the buttons. So here I'm going to actually add the button, add event listener. Alright, so I'm going to add the listener to the button. Then we want to listen to the click listener of the button. So click, Then I need to here specify the E, and then again arrows function means the arrow symbol, right? Then we just started block of the code means the anonymous function, that is the arrow function, all right? And here what I'm going to do, according to the event of the button, that whatever button is actually clicked, we need to target it, so that value will be updating multiple times. So here I will be using the element id, then this is going to be equals to the e dot current like target dot id. No dispatch event, it's like id. So whatever button is actually pressed like this one, then that particular id will be stored inside this particular variable, all right? Then we need to check here for the conditions. So if element id, that is equals to the id that is decrease, if I come back to the index.html, so you can see we have the decrease id. So if it is like decrease, then we want to do what? We just need to simply decrement the value of the count variable, okay? And now in the else if, we need to do what? We just need to here use the element id, and then this is going to be equals to reset, alright? Then to start its block of the code, and here I need to set the count variable value to actually 0, alright? In the else part, we just need to do what? We just need to simply increment the value of the counter. So here I will be using the counter plus plus. Then we need to terminate it, okay? So this is how our button code is actually ending it here. So if I control save it, and now if I actually press the increment button, so you can see nothing is actually happening. The reason for that, we need to also set the updated value of the count variable to this particular span element, all right? So here our button code is actually ending. So here I will be using the value dot text content, then this is going to be equals to the value of the count variable. If I now control save it, and now if I actually click on the increase button, so it is actually still not working. So if I press the F12 key to see the problems, so actually it is not working, and it is also not going to show any error. Okay, so if I actually take this code back inside the button add event listener code, if I control save it, now it's actually working. So I have actually placed the code in the wrong direction, because I need to actually listen to the click listener of the buttons. So I'm actually specify the code inside the for each block. That is the reason it is actually not working. So here I have specified the code, and now if I actually increase it, then you can see the value is actually increased. If I click on the reset, the value is set to reset, means the value set to 0. And if I actually click on the decrease button, then you can see now we are actually getting here a decremented value, which is the negative values. If I increment it, then you can see we get the positive values, all right? Now for the color changing functionality, like if it is actually greater than like 0, then it's going to show the green value, and if it is actually like 0, then we actually set it to 0. Means it is negative, then we need to set the color to red, all right? So in order to achieve this particular behavior, we need to here play with the condition. So I will be here using the ternary operator. So value dot style color, like style, not computer style, actually not computer style. So here I will be using the style dot color, then this is going to be equals to count greater than, so it is not count, it's like count greater than 0. Then we need to set the value to actually green. Then here I will be adding a colon for the secondary expression. So if count is actually smaller than 0, so if it is greater than 0, then we need to set the color to green, and if it is smaller than 0, then we need to set it to red, all right? So it is going to be red. Smaller than 0, then we need to set it to red. Also we need to specify the question mark symbol, otherwise we are getting some errors. And in the else part, we want to display here a color. So instead of showing the black color, just like in the final version, if I reset it, it's actually come back to the black. We are going to set it to blue color. So coming back to this span element, so here we are going to copy this particular code from here, copy it, coming back to script.js and coming back to our version of the application. So here I am going to set it to this particular one. So control save it. And now if I actually increment the value, then you can see now we are actually getting the green color. If I reset it, then it's again come back to its blue color. Whereas in the final version, I have added the black color. So it's totally up to you which color you want to use. And now if I decrement it, then you can see we get the negative values along with the red color. Alright. So this is how our project is actually working. Alright. So you can see now it's actually working perfectly fine. So that marks the completion of this particular module, which is the counter application module. So I hope you like this particular module. So if you like it, then leave your review, because your review motivates me to create more awesome and unique projects like this. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.